These are my cheat cards. I'll refer to these to figure out where I am during the course of my talk. Okay, so this is my first question to you all. Where is Lahore? Can you please raise your hands? How many know where Lahore is? Nobody? You're sitting in Lahore. I'd expect a better outcome. All right, good, good. Here's a thought for the day. This is something that I've been lately thinking of. That say in 2050, if ever and when Lahore's drainage issues are resolved and we no longer have water standing on the roads after it rains, after the monsoon rains, maybe in 2050 we can preserve some regions, say, as a theme park. You know, for nostalgia's sake, for historic reference sake. What we can do is that probably have boat rides in Shahalmi, water scooter rides, Lakshmi Chowk, 3 feet of water. MM Alam Road, 2 to 3 feet of water, a store just sunk during the last rains. Kayaking or canoeing would be a great idea, I think. This is my favorite. So, you know, there's black water rafting in Samnabad ka Ganda Nala. It just, it just burst its banks a while back. So, with that thought, here's the next question. How many of you know where Karachi is? Question? Hands? Everyone? Some people over here don't know where Karachi is. Strange. Bad. Really bad. Anyway, next question. Do you know where Hussaini is? Hussaini. How many have actually heard of it? Hussaini. One person. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. So Hussaini, anyway, move on. You know where Karachi is. You don't know where Hussaini is. Let's see how many of you know where Attabad is. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, good. So the media outreach did actually help. Well, I didn't know where Attabad was. This was somewhere mid-March. I had heard that on January 2nd, there was a landslide at Attabad. The entire village fell into River Hunza down below. 20 people died, and subsequently a lot of people were cut off. But I honestly, that day, the first time I heard about it, didn't really care much about it. I want you all right now, want to do a little exercise with me. I want you all to close your eyes for 15 seconds and try to feel what people might have felt in Attabad when that landslide took place. So please, close your eyes. I actually did this. Close your eyes. So your feet are firmly on the ground right now, but suddenly the ground is shaking. It's shaking really, really bad. It's moving. You have the sensation of free fall. You're falling. How do you arrest your fall? Do you try to hold on to something? Anything you hold on to is just moving with you. What do you do? What do you feel like? Did that make sense? Can you imagine? Can you empathize with the people? What happened over there? I did this exercise with my wife, and next day I was suddenly surprised. Heck, I don't know where Attabad is. How can I help those people? How can I feel for what they felt? And yet, that is what those people felt that day. Just for reference again, this is where Attabad is, here. That little small red circle is where Attabad is. This is a zoomed out version. This is somewhere in Hunza. A further zoomed out version, the lower red dot that you see over here, this is where Islamabad is, a couple of 100 miles. No wonder we didn't know where Attabad was. So, then I started hearing that there was a lake, a big lake behind the blockade, and it was filling up fast. It was about 8 to 9 kilometers long at that time. And I was wondering, wow, this is a huge lake. This is a major river in the mountains, blocked. It's filling up with water, yet we're all sitting comfortably, and we don't know about it. So a friend of mine and I'm involved, as Khura mentioned, in Google Mapmaker project. So I contacted some of the people back at Google, and I said, guys, can you please help me out? We want some imagery. It's been 4 months, 3 months. The lake is filling up fast, and yet nobody really cares to, look into it. There is no pressure on the government. Why is that so? These guys helped. And what happened is that Jabran and I then subsequently decided that to make this information more public, to tell the stories of the people who have lost their houses, whose villages have been sunk. They could actually see their villages sinking inch by inch every day. Maybe if we can involve photos, pictures, etc. from those people, maybe we can make the others empathize with them, and maybe make the government actually start moving. So here's a brief message from Jabran, and he'll tell you exactly what we did here.
In January 2010, Hunza Valley suffered this devastating landslide, which then left a massive destruction and surrounding areas to severe risk. This incident resulted not only in blocking the river but also wiping off the whole village of Attabad and Ainabad village to sink in artificial lake. Now situation of such kind demands serious attention and utmost help. It is a fact that great attention only comes with well-made awareness. Keeping that in mind, we came up with an idea to put most available, useful and updated information at one place, so it can be accessed easily by anybody to facilitate the relief efforts on ground. This single-page website was built with an aim to respond to queries regarding affected area details, lake water flow information, location of medical and IDP camps, at further risk area, updated maps for transportation, bridge status, news updates and so on. While gathering all this information to put it at one place, there were some sources where we had to dig manually to find the required information, such as a daily one-page update from NDMA and weather forecast from Met Department. Thanks, but no thanks to an unfortunate IT infrastructure that we still have to update this information manually on daily basis. And so there were organizations that voluntarily jumped in to help by sharing their information and data with us to make it available more broadly to more people. We really appreciate the efforts, and so the others, wherever they have used this information when needed. International organizations helped out a lot throughout the process to maintain up-to-date technical information at a very high level. Google and NASA helped us providing the latest satellite imageries of the area, while Google Map Maker provided up-to-date maps powered by a local community contribution. UNOSAT and UNITAR, or Sub-Department of United Nations, provided us the most accurate GIS data for lake formation and expansion. The most powerful and helpful resource was the daily updated local information that was only made possible by a local volunteer, a GIS specialist, Ali Rahmat Musaffar. This gentleman helped us in maintaining the information, like GIS data included location and details of IDP and medical camps and the facilities available in there, the status of submerged villages, bridges, roads and public properties, public location with the risk of sudden flood from lake, and this all has been entirely on daily basis. This way of helping out relief efforts has been strongly appreciated by our visitors, who grew from around 1,000 visitors in the very first month to nearly double of the amount in next month. Visitors from mobile phones have extended the area of interest and thinking for us in such projects, giving us new way to think in future.
Alright, so Ali Rahmat Musaffar, he was our primary source of information. He belonged to Hussaini. This was a village which sunk under the lake that is still over there. That lake is about 21 or 20, up to 25 kilometers long, depending on whose estimate you pay heed to. So we had a dilemma here. So we eventually somehow managed to build this great product here. Any one of you who wants to know where to direct aid, where to send relief supplies, etc., can log onto the website and you'll have a daily update that how many women, men, children at a certain IDP camp. Are these bridges at risk? Have they been washed away, etc. But the other problem we had, and that was something that disappointed me a bit, that while we were looking for all this information, the local organizations which held that information were not too forthcoming with that information. So they would say, yes, we're aware of the disaster, we are doing everything we can, yes, we have all the data, thank you very much. Why would you want the data? Thank you very much. So that was a stumbling block that we came again and again. Some of the organizations mentioned here, they were either private or not Pakistani organizations. And they helped out in some form or the other, but the primary data was not coming from them. This brings me to this other point, that why is it that information in Pakistan is so closely held as a secret? It's not shared. It's public information, you know. I should know if I want to, help out someone where I should be directing my aid. Probably the government also, was a victim of that. Maybe because we didn't know what was happening, we as citizens were not able to pressurize the government into start, moving, actually making a difference at. I think it was in about May when the government started panicking, saying, oh, the lake is this long, if the banks burst, the Rubaila Dam's gone, we have to do something. But had we had this information, this might have had earlier as well. That brings me to NIMBY, not in my backyard. Maybe that was what we were facing as well. Since I didn't see it, I didn't know where Attabad was, I didn't really care. Maybe the government, because of that, was not affected as well. So how do we do, we have to mandate that information should be shared amongst us, amongst the common public. Public can do something or the other with it. Take a look at this. This is a map of Lahore that I, along with hundreds of thousands of other volunteers, have built. Just imagine that if you can put a lot of information on these maps, say, for example, if you can see all the regions which are low-lying on this map as an ordinary citizen, you can go and question that instead of building that new road, why aren't you fixing my area? I will be flooded next time it rains. Maybe you can see where fresh water is being piped and what quantities of fresh water are being piped. You might be able to see the disparities in that maybe these areas of Lahore, the older areas of Lahore, do not get as much pure water as some of the more newer localities of Lahore. We have to somehow address that. But how do we address that? Until and unless we can make the information publicly available. What we need is cheat cards again. That's why I referred to these in the beginning. That public has to have a reference point which they can immediately go and look at and say, okay, so there will be no bijli at my home. I would want Lesco or Forever, whatever the other distribution companies are, to make this information available and stick to it. They should have a 1-month schedule. Maybe you can refer to that map over here and say, okay, so I'm going to visit my friend over there, 8 to 9 defense, DHA, sector XYZ, there's no power, maybe I should plan around that. Why can't I do that today? The irony is that a lot of us are not informed about our right to information. This is from the 18th Amendment, Article 19A, right to information. Every citizen shall have the right to have access to information in all matters of public importance. I believe water, I believe power, I believe a lot of other issues are of public importance. I once went and asked for a map or the master plan of Lahore. I was told, thank you very much, that is confidential information. You can't have access to it. Why not? I live in Lahore. I want to know what you're doing with it. Can't you tell me that? I don't think so. These guys didn't want to do that. So the idea here is that we have to take this thing to heart. We have to, from now on, whenever this becomes effective, have to start questioning that, guys, please, let us know what you're doing. Yeah, look at this image. This image is from Popular Science magazine of 1925, probably Manhattan, New York. These guys were thinking back then that 25 years down the line, these are the problems we're going to have. So they have 3 tiered layers of roads that we're going to have congestion, we have to manage it. But right now, if I don't know about the problems and if I don't know about what's being done to mitigate that, how can I create a solution? So our collective genius here requires that we create a vision for Lahore, for Punjab, for Pakistan, and that's something that I think is not existing. Why is it not existing? Because I see that it's too much of an effort to run down or run after public government servants and ask them for information. How do I help that? We have to start asking questions. We have to say, all right, so you did this. What is the justification for this decision? Let me know. Please share the data that you have. There's a lot of data out there, and there are a lot of innovative people out there, people with a lot of time on their hands who can do wonders with that data. With that thought, I leave you, and I hope that this challenge would be taken up, and maybe in a few months' time or a year's time, we can at least create some basic services that can help the common man, help me, help the problems that I have, problems that you have. And I'd like to collaborate with some of you if you're interested in that. So with that, thank you so much for lending your ear.